Welcome back to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being, well, pretty clued in.
And today, we are definitely wading into some deep and potentially dangerous waters.
We're talking Jurassic World.
Rebirth.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this isn't just, another sequel slapped onto the end.
Right. They're calling it a standalone sequel and also a deliberate reboot of this huge, iconic franchise.
Which is a bold claim, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rebooting something people feel so strongly about.
Totally. So our mission today, basically, is to dig into what the early buzz is like. What are critics and, the first viewers actually saying?
Does it actually capture that terror? The original Jurassic Park terror?
Okay.
Or is it just more CGI mayhem?
Exactly. We've been looking at reactions, mostly from X, formerly Twitter, and also a big deep dive review of the film itself.
And the signals are kind of wild already.
Right. Some people are out there calling it the best since the original. I even saw the best since JP3. Okay, JP3, that's a choice. But still, high praise. Trying to reset something this massive, this embedded in pop culture, ambitious is putting it mildly.
Okay, let's get into this rebirth idea then.
Yeah.
Because they really are framing it as a totally new era for dinosaurs.
Supposedly picks up 5 years after Dominion, but yeah, the whole vibe is fresh start.
And the big headline here, no Chris Pratt, no Jeff Goldblum, no Laura Dern, none of the world legacy characters are back.
Wow. Okay, that is a statement. Cutting ties with those fan favorites. That signals they're really, truly trying to break from that last trilogy.
It does. But can it really feel new when it's still got Jurassic World in the title? Even if it's years later.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is the DNA still too similar?
Well, the creative team is interesting. Gareth Edwards is directing. Rogue One, Godzilla, the creator. That definitely sets a certain expectation for the look and feel.
Yeah. Edwards brings that sense of scale, but also that grounded, almost gritty realism sometimes. Less flashy, maybe.
And the script, David Cup.
The David Cup, who co-wrote the original Jurassic Park and The Lost World.
The very same.
Okay, now that is interesting. Bringing Cup back. That feels like a deliberate move to connect with the franchise's roots, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Edward's style plus Cup's history, it really suggests they're trying to recalibrate, maybe find that original magic again.
Get back to the park part of Jurassic Park, maybe. The suspense, the atmosphere, not just dinos chasing people across the globe.
And that seems to be exactly what people are picking up on. This massive tone shift is a huge part of the conversation already.
Away from the, let's call it, blockbuster chaos of the World Trilogy.
Precisely. Towards something described as much darker, more of a thriller. Really suspense-driven and atmospheric. Moody. Intense.
Okay, I'm listening. Because honestly, some of the later films felt a bit hollow. All spectacle, no real bite, metaphorically speaking, of course.
Right. Brandon Seidlich in Entertainment Journal, he called it a mashup between Jaws and Predator.
Jaws and Predator? Okay, that's bold. That implies real tension, real creature feature horror, not just adventure.
It does. And Ashish Chanchalani, he's an influencer from India, he called it a roaring, thrilling, and terrifying return. Said it brought back the horror and near-death experiences that, felt kind of missing sometimes.
That feeling that the characters are genuinely in over their heads, not just action heroes dodging explosions.
Exactly. And Chris Parker flat out said Gareth Edwards puts the fear back into the dinos. Zach Pope echoed that. It makes dinosaurs terrifying again.
Good, because they should be terrifying, right? Not just, obstacles in an action sequence. It sounds like they're leaning into what made the first one work so well.
That primal fear, yeah. Less spectacle for spectacle's sake.
Which is kind of a relief, honestly. Let the dinosaurs be scary again.
And facing this new, darker terror is a completely fresh cast. Which fits, right? New tone, new faces.
Makes sense. Wipes the slate clean. So who have we got?
The main trio seems to be Scarlett Johansson as Zora Bennett. She's described as a covert ops leader. Apparently, she'd wanted to be in a Jurassic movie for ages.
Okay, Scarlett Johansson doing covert ops in a dino jungle. Black Widow meets T-Rex. I'm not mad at it. Sounds intriguing.
Then there's Jonathan Bailey as Dr. Henry Loomis. He's the paleontologist. Seems earnest.
The scientist role. Crucial. And Bailey's been getting a lot of buzz lately, hasn't he?
He has, and apparently he really shines here. More on that in a sec. The third is Mahershala Ali as Duncan Kincaid. He's Zora's sort of veteran adventurer ally.
Mahershala Ali adds weight to anything he's in. Just his presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a strong core cast.
There are others too. Rupert Friend, Manuel Garcia Rolfo, Ed Skrein. But the early praise is really focused on the chemistry between Johansson, Bailey, and Ali.
That's often make or break for these ensemble films, isn't it? If you don't care about the people, the dino threat doesn't land as hard.
Totally. Taylor Blendon, a podcaster, said the greatest strength is absolutely the ensemble cast. Said the trio works so well together, and you instantly fall in love with some really intriguing characters.
Intriguing characters, that's promising, not just archetypes running around.
And about Jonathan Bailey, people are really singling him out. Wesley called him the scene stealer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and another review specifically mentioned his standout chemistry and, get this, his slutty little glasses charm.
His what now? Slutty little glasses, okay. I mean, if it works, it works, but him being a scene stealer is a great sign. Means the human element might actually have some punch this time.
It sounds like it. But okay, it's Jurassic. We have to talk visuals and creature design. And Rebirth is getting huge buzz here.
As it should. What are they doing differently?
Well, for starters, the cinematographer John Mathewson shot it on 35mm film.
Oh, interesting. Not digital.
Nope. Specifically to recapture the tactile realism of the originals. It's a deliberate choice to make it feel, less glossy, more grounded.
Like you can almost feel the humidity in the mud. I like that. Instead of that overly clean, sometimes floaty CGI look.
Exactly. And they filmed in actual jungles, rainforests, water locations in Thailand, Malta, the UK. So it looks incredibly lush and immersive. You feel like you're there.
Proper location work. Good. And the creatures themselves, still all CGI or...
That's the other thing people are praising the blend.
I think so.
A mix of practical effects with the CGI.
Back to the Spielberg playbook. Animatronics, puppets, blended seamlessly. That works so well in the first one. It gives the actor something real to react to.
Right. A more tactile approach, as the reviews are calling it. And we're getting new monsters, too. Hybrid ones are back.
Oh boy, hybrids like the Indominus Rex, that was a bit much for me.
Well, this time we have the Distortus Rex, they're calling it the D-Rex.
Yeah.
It apparently has 6 limbs.
6 limbs? Why does it have 6 limbs? Did someone drop a mosasaur in a blender with a tarantula?
Maybe. The design supposedly draws from Alien Star Wars, and apparently it gets some good screen time, so it's not just a cameo.
6 limbs. Okay. We'll see. What else?
Mutodons, which sound like mutant velociraptors.
Yeah.
Plus, updated designs for the Spinosaurus and the Mosasaurus.
Updated Spino. Interesting. Okay, so a mix of new nightmares and returning, slightly less nightmarish ones.
Pretty much. And visually, people are raving. Mr. Goji on X said it's the best film in the entire franchise when it comes to its visuals. Called it beautiful, stunning cinematography.
High praise indeed. Better than the original visually. That's a big claim.
Yeah. And fans on Reddit are digging into the details too, saying the T-Rex looks more muscular, maybe more accurate with better colors, better raptor designs.
So refining the look, not just throwing pixels at the screen, going for impact, realism, that original awe mixed with genuine fear, that sounds promising.
Okay, so visuals.check, scarydinos.check, cast.check. But
yeah,
what's the actual story about? And does it have anything, to say?
Substance question. Are we evolving the franchise themes or just mutating the plot points?
Well, the premise is different. An elite team, top secret mission. They need to go to this isolated island where InGen had its original research facility to extract DNA from prehistoric creatures.
Why? World domination. More theme parks.
Actually, for a life-saving drug.
A life-saving drug from dinosaur DNA. Okay, that is a twist. We've spent decades asking, should we resurrect dinosaurs? Now it's, should we resurrect dinosaurs to cure cancer or something?
Basically, it ties into those hybrid failed experiments that are apparently still lurking on the island from InGen's early days.
That definitely shifts the ethical debate, doesn't it? From hubris of playing God to potential miracle cure with terrifying side effects, adds a new layer to the classic Jurassic theme of science versus nature.
But does it add enough fresh thematic weight? Or is it just, a convenient setup for the action?
That's the tightrope walk. One critic, Courtney Howard, she wasn't convinced, said the human stakes are weightless and reductive. Ouch.
Yeah. She also said the film emptily channels movie references without innovating nor improving upon them. Basically, style over substance.
That's a harsh take. But then you said others found heart in it and praised its narrative daring.
Exactly. So it's divisive on that front. Some see empty references, others see a clever evolution of the core ideas. What makes one person see heart where another sees nothing?
Maybe it depends what you want from a Jurassic movie at this point. Are you there for the philosophical questions or just the thrill ride?
It does feel like Edwards and Cup are trying to bridge that gap, though. Connect the original wonder and the ethical questions with this darker, modern thriller approach.
Yeah.
Trying to get back to those mythic roots.
And maybe succeeding in making it feel genuinely dangerous again. Like you said, this feels like the first one in a while where the movie itself seems afraid of its own creations.
Yeah. And hey, small mercies, but apparently no one's running from a T-Rex in high heels this time.
Yeah. Well, that's progress right there. A clear sign of cinematic growth in the Jurassic universe.
So after all this back and forth, the big question for you, listening,
Yeah.
is Rebirth actually worth your time? Worth the ticket price?
Well, the overall vibe from early reactions is mostly positive, actually. Divided, sure, but leaning positive. Lots of people calling it terrifying, a bold reinvigoration.
And those claims, best since the original, best since JP3, they're still floating around and carrying some weight.
The definite plus points seem to be the adrenaline ride factor, the genuinely scary moments, and yeah, putting the fear back into the dinos. That seems undeniable.
Although Zach Pope did admit it's flawed, predictable, eye-rolly in places, but then immediately followed up by saying it was the most fun I've had in a while since the first JW.
Right, and Mason called it the best since JP3. So
Yeah.
even with flaws, it seems to be hitting a sweet spot for many.
But then you have the cautionary notes, like Courtney Howard's critique about the human stakes feeling thin, suggesting maybe it leans too heavily on nostalgia or those movie references without adding enough emotional depth.
So it might depend on your expectations. If you want deep character studies and profound emotional arcs, maybe temper those hopes.
But if you love the tension of the original Jurassic Park, and you want that feeling back, but maybe grittier with scarier monsters and, yes, slutty little glasses.
Aha! Then this might be exactly what you're looking for.
It seems the core question is whether the story resonates as much as the visuals and the thrills. If it manages to deliver something emotionally substantive alongside the homages and the scares.
Then yeah, it really could be a late series triumph, something that genuinely revitalizes the franchise instead of just extending it.
You can make up your own mind soon enough. Jurassic World. Rebirth lands in theaters on July 2nd.
So wrapping up this deep dive, Jurassic World. Rebirth looks like a serious attempt to steer the ship back towards suspense and terror. New cast, darker tone, focus on practical effects, and genuinely scary dinosaurs.
Definitely. So as you think about whether you'll be lining up for a ticket, maybe ponder this. What does another reboot really mean for this franchise? Is it truly a breath of originality? Or just a very stylish, very scary repackaging of the same questions we've been asking since '93?
And what kinds of stories can this franchise even tell now? If dinosaurs aren't just monsters, but potentially medicine, where does it go from here?
Lots to chew on. That's all for this fossil-fueled exploration.